Hello! So, blind right now, but going to start today off different. I'm going to show you a mechanic, and then I'm going to show you how it works, because it's a pretty cool mechanic. So, let's see. Hopefully you can see where I am. Alright, so what you do is the game should start up now. There it goes. Alright, so here comes some bad guys. My right weapon, you can see on the gun here, it's got a bar that's charging. With each shot, I'll try to get the right one charged up. There we go. And this right one, you see they're all gathered around me. And if I hit my big button, it'll suck them in and then shoot them out that way. It's a gravity gun. And then the left gun, the way it works, I'll try to charge up my left one while hopefully not dying. Yeah, there it goes. Now see how the left one charged up and it's got this button glowing? Well, this one, it goes and it shoots everything around me away. So again, the right one, once I let some bunnies gather in on me, I can, and there they go. And the left one, now it's to the right. I am not left-handed. There it goes. So I wait for them all to come in, and once it gets crowded, I can go, and they all get thrown back. It's a gravity gun. It's two different types. One's a targeted one, and the other one's and game over. There we go. And the other one's a AOE blast. So that said, I'll now explain how it works. One second. So, if you want to know how that gun works, stick around, and hopefully that's helpful to all of you. So, let's see here. Let's jump over to the regular map. And what we have here is our motion pawn, our main controller. And so, I'll start from the top and go all the way through. When we pull a trigger, we get this start fire mechanic that begins the shooting of a weapon, and this is all the normal weapon shooting mechanics that we've done before. Right up in here, we're checking to see if an enemy actually got hit. I'm skipping a lot here because this has nothing to do with the gravity gun. But once I get to the gravity gun part, I'll explain more in detail. So, anyways, it's checking to make sure something was hit. Most importantly, is down here at the end of the whole thing. It's to charge the alternate weapon, which is those gravity guns. My charge alt weapon is just an event inside the main group here. And so for starters, to charge those little bars up that are on the back of the gun, this is just to check to see if you're the left or the right controller, and if so, proceed down each pathway. And what we want to do is this alt right charge, we want to add the the tick amount that I have declared. So my tick amount that I have declared is 0.1. So it'll take 10 charges to reach a full a charged, for ready to be fired. So each time it's going to add that tick amount, and then it's going to check to see if the alt weapon charge, right, is greater than or equal to 1. And if it is greater than or equal to 1, set it to charged on the controller, and then cast to that controller, set its visibility of its alt weapon button to true. Now, those bars that you saw on the back of the gun, those are declared by this UI. This UI is all it is just a single bar, or a single progress bar, and that progress bar under its percentage is tied to the player pawn. So, in the graph designer, or in the event graph under construct, I'm creating a bind to the player pawn, or I'm just creating a reference to the player pawn. And what that does is that then gives me access when I go to bind, like fill color and opacity, it gives me access to all the variables that are inside a player pawn. So instead of having to write anything, I can actually just click on the little bind arrow and then go find the variable I want to tie it to. In this case, it's the alt weapon. The red bar is the right one, so the alt right weapon charge amount. And over here in the motion controller pawn, I have the alt weapon charge right. And it's just a float, and it's this little float that we add more to until it's full. And once it's full, and it turns this button on, once it's full, that bar will be full. And then also we turn this alt button visibility on. Now that is inside the motion controller, which is what we're casting to right here. So we say right controller as BP motion controller, set the alt button, weapon button visibility to on. So over here on BP motion controller, I have this alt button little doodad that's just hidden normally. But if it's turned visible, it's this giant gleaming red button that sits right over where the Vive controller has its big, this part. So that thing will turn visible, and then oh, I could push this giant red shiny candy-like button. And then once we're there, everything's charged, lit up, and ready to go. So at that point, we have the motion controllers. So the motion, I'll start with the left one, since the left one's just the AoE blast. It's a little simpler. So these are all the left face button 1 through 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I made it so you can just keep it simple. Push any button on the face. And so first it checks to see, is it charged? If it is, then go on ahead. Then what we want to do is start a force feedback playing event on that controller. And the feedback event looks like, where did it go? Right here. So a feedback event, you can just right click and create a new feedback event anywhere in the asset folders. And it looks like this. You can say effects left large or small, and then you just create a little line chart, and it'll rumble the little rumble pad engine that's in here X amount, however much you declare it to. So first it starts kicking off that rumble, and then it spawns, let's see, the Radial Force. This is the thing that does the push, and that Radial Force is just it's a blueprint actor that's a Radial Force. So here I can Alright, so here we are where it makes it. Well, it's going to make it, and then it's going to attach it to the end of the gun. So kind of think of these as doing this, it all at once. But anyways, it's going to create it, then attach it to the barrel tip. But first, let's go take a look at this spawn, or this thing that's getting spawned. So here it is. It's a Radial Force actor, just a blueprint. And inside its viewport, it has a radial force. The thing is made up of a radial force, but for convenience sake, I added another one inside that I trigger. Anywho, so this radial force has a radius, an impulse strength, and a force strength. And on its event graph for when it begins play, so it's spawned, it begins play, and then this little chain of events happens. First it plays the sound effect of it being spawned, which is this sort of sound. And then it looks for bunnies that it's going to make happy. That's the other effect these AoE blasts I had it do, is any bunnies that are affected get turned back to happy, so they don't run at you as fast, making it so you can kind of control the crowd. And so first I do a radial trace to see which ones are in the area, and then I make a hit list. And so each one in that hit list, I apply damage. I guess I doubled up here. Ooh, I need to fix that. Good thing I'm showing this to you. Uh, so I apply damage of -1, and I have the bunnies set up to where if they detect damage, here it is. If we detect damage that is negative damage, in other words, giving me life back, or giving the bunny life back, then it changes its mood to happy instead. So, this mood change happy is the exact opposite of them changing their mood to angry, which it just changes their color back to their regular color, and then it changes their speed at which they move, their moving force, back to a happy moving force, which is slow. And then it plays a sound for them being turned to happy instead. So anyways, back to the Radial Force actor. Here we are. So once it's done gathering all the bunnies in the area and making a hit list and making them happy, then it goes and starts a timeline. During this timeline, it's adding more and more to the impulse strength of this Radial Force that got spawned. So the Radial Force gets spawned, then it does a timeline that's going, it's just building up and building up the strength of that Radial Force. I could have it so it just fires a pulse once, but this seemed to give a kind of a cooler pushing effect. So once it's done doing all the pushing during this timeline, then it double checks to make sure those bunnies that were hit are made happy, and then it destroys the actor. So that's the left hand one. The right hand one that sucks them in and then shoots them out works ever so slightly differently. So we'll jump back to the main motion controller. So again, it's checking to see if the right weapon is charged right here. And then we go down and we start the force feedback for this one. And then we spawn this alt-right weapon Radial Force, which is, again, is just a Radial Force actor. And this one has 2 sets of Radial Forces. This will be important to see how they line up. So, if you look at it from the side, we have this first Radial Force, which is this front one here. This is the one in charge of sucking all the bunnies into one area. So it's going to get a negative impulse effect on it. So the initial impulse strength is -40. It's not big, but it grows. And then once it's done sucking them all in, then it fires off these 2. And I use 2 so that it gives a generally push in one direction. And here's their arrangement all together. And if we go look at the event graph, what happens is first it plays the sound effect at the location, and then it starts the timeline, and this is a slow inward build. So during this timeline, each tick of this timeline, it subtracts -500 from the impulse strength of that first Radial Force, and then it fires the Radial Force. It subtracts more and then fires it, subtracts more and fires it. So it's just going and pulling everything into it. Then once everything is gathered up into the middle, then it finishes off the timeline, and then it comes down here. It checks and makes sure all the bunnies that are directly in front of it get -1 damage to make them happy, and then we fire the impulse of both these of the second Radial Forces, and we just fire it once, but that one fire then goes boosh and pushes all those bunnies that have been gathered from being gathered inward to now being pushed outward. And the other reason this works off of just impulses is all those bunnies are physics actors. So because all my enemies are physics actors, it's very easy to just spawn an impulse into the world, or an impulse actor, or impulse blueprint actor, and then fire that impulse. And then via timelines, I can choose which ones get fired first, and which ones get fired second. I also spawn these certain emitters. The left one is the more exciting looking emitter. So I'm spawning emitters attached to the barrel tip. So for example, here's the yeah, this is the one for the left weapon. It's just these rings that kind of fire off to give it this push outward look. And then here's, yeah, so the one that sucks them in and then pushes them out. First it fires this set of particles that, you know, sucks some rings in, and then it fires this particle system that blows some rings out. And then once it's all said and done, it sets the alt weapon charge back to 0. And yeah, it does this for both of them. So sets the alt weapon charge back to 0. And then, oh yeah, here's the emitter. And then sets the alt weapon charged tick to off. And then it turns the visibility of the big red button off. So, in essence, the main thing that makes the gravity guns work are these. Where did they go? The main ones that get spawned. Radial Forces, these guys. Yeah. These Radial Force actors. And that is because they are just radial forces. And when they fire, they push and pull the enemies in certain ways. If you wanted to indefinitely hold a character in the middle, I'm certain there's a better way than doing it with a timeline that's continually firing. You could probably just, there's probably a way to make a radial force just turn on and turn off. Actually, I'm pretty dang certain of that. And actually I should have my characters running off of something like that too to optimize things, but that'll be a battle for a later day. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful, explaining how a gravity gun does, you know, or at least my gravity gun, which added all sorts of fun to the game. And yeah, so anywho, hopefully that was helpful to everybody on how to create a gravity gun. That's what I did last week, apart from a bunch of little bug fixes. My big bunnies were appearing in the wrong place, and now I got them working again. This I did all on my own, so sadly no shoutouts this week, apart from thank you everybody who is following me. And if there's anything I can do to be more helpful, please let me know. But yeah, thank you for following and watching, and we're inching our way closer towards a finished game. Next week I get to do the main weapons, so that'll be cool. Or, I mean, I already got the first weapon, so next up is going to be to build a Gatling gun, which feels amazingly wonderful on your arms in VR. I don't know why, but it's just really cool in VR to have Gatling guns for arms. And then to build the third weapon after that, which is a toss-up between a chicken that shoots radioactive eggs out of its butt, or a vacuum cannon that sucks up bunnies and then shoots out now irradiated explosive nuclear bomb bunnies. So one of those two. Gotta pick and choose. I can't put everything in the game. You know, I'm just one person. So yeah. Hope everybody's week is doing well. Hope everybody's getting over their colds. I'm feeling much better. And yeah, thanks for following and thanks for watching, and hope you have a swell week. And yeah, I will catch you all a week from now. Alright, peace. Oop, wrong button.